Have you ever noticed that Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his time, kept a private journal where he poured out his deepest thoughts, but never showed it to anyone? That's because he knew a simple truth. Not everyone deserves to see the real you. And let's be honest, sometimes when we show people too much of who we are, they don't value it. They gossip, they judge, or worse, they use it against us. Today, we're going to talk about why most people don't deserve to know the real you, and why protecting your inner self might be the most stoic thing you can do. Before we dive deep, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because this channel is all about living with wisdom, courage, and strength, even in a world that constantly tests us. Number 1, the danger of oversharing. Most people today treat vulnerability like currency. They believe the more they share, the more authentic they seem. But authenticity isn't about telling the whole world your story. It's about living with integrity, whether people know the details or not. Epictetus said, "Keep silence for the most part." He understood that silence protects peace. Think about it. How many times have you shared something personal, only to regret it later? Maybe you told someone about your struggles, and instead of support, you got judgment. Or maybe you shared a dream, and instead of encouragement, you got laughter. Not everyone can handle the weight of who you really are. Here's the truth. Oversharing doesn't bring connection, it brings exposure. When you show too much too soon, you give people a weapon they didn't ask for, and some will gladly use it. That's why Marcus Aurelius practiced restraint. He didn't let everyone inside his mind, only himself. And here's the funny part. Some people can't even keep a Netflix password safe, and yet we expect them to keep our secrets. That's a recipe for disaster. The Stoic way is simple. Speak less, observe more, and let time reveal who's truly worthy of knowing you. Number 2, respect is earned, not given. Many people think others automatically deserve access to their deepest selves, but the Stoics would laugh at that. Respect is earned, not handed out like free samples at a supermarket. Your inner life is not a public market. It's a sacred temple. When you let just anyone in, you lower the value of that temple. Think about the great Stoic philosophers. None of them begged for understanding. Seneca wrote letters to his close friend Lucilius, but those were built on trust, years of friendship, and a foundation of wisdom. He didn't hand out his personal reflections to strangers in the streets. The mistake many people make is giving strangers front row seats to their soul. But why? Why should someone who hasn't proven loyalty, respect, or consistency deserve that access? In Stoicism, you test people through their actions, not their words. And if someone hasn't earned that seat, don't feel guilty about keeping them out. After all, even in Rome, not everyone was allowed inside the emperor's palace. Some people belonged at the gates, and that's where they should stay in your life. Number 3, protecting your energy. Your energy is limited. Every day you wake up with a certain amount of emotional and mental strength. If you waste on the wrong people, you'll find yourself drained before you even get to what truly matters. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control, and who we allow into our lives is very much within our control. People love drama. They'll pull you into their storms and make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. But protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's wise. You're not supposed to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And yet, so many do. Why? Because they confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. The Stoics would tell you that real strength is choosing who gets your energy and who doesn't. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That includes the power to choose silence, distance, and boundaries when people try to invade your peace. And sometimes, you just have to laugh at how predictable people can be. Tell them good news, and they'll envy you. Tell them bad news, and they'll gossip. Tell them nothing, and they go crazy trying to figure out what's going on. Silence isn't just power, it's entertainment. Number 4, the illusion of connection. We live in an age where people confuse exposure with connection. Social media makes us believe that showing everything makes us real. But in reality, it just makes us vulnerable to strangers who don't care. The Stoics lived in crowded cities, yet they were masters of solitude. They understood that connection must be deep, not wide. Real connection comes from a select few who earn their place through loyalty, wisdom, and shared values. It's not about how many people know you, it's about how many truly understand you. And let's be honest, most people don't even understand themselves, so how can they understand you? When you hold back, people may call you mysterious or even distant. But mystery is not a weakness, it's dignity. It keeps your soul safe from those who only want to peek inside your life for entertainment, not empathy. Think of it this way. Would you leave your house unlocked in a city full of thieves? Of course not. Then why leave your inner self open to a world full of gossipers, critics, and manipulators? A locked door doesn't mean fear. It means wisdom. Number 5, the power of selectivity. Here's the real power. When you learn to be selective, your relationships become stronger. By not giving everyone access, you create space for the right people, the ones who genuinely value you. Stoicism isn't about shutting down from the world. It's about giving your best to those who truly matter. When you're selective, you force others to show their true intentions. The ones who only came for gossip will leave. The ones who came for real connection will stay. And over time, you'll see that quality beats quantity every single time. This doesn't mean you walk around cold and closed off. It means you walk with discernment. Just as a Stoic doesn't waste time chasing fortune or fame, you shouldn't waste time chasing approval or acceptance from everyone. The wrong people won't get you no matter what you share. The right people will understand you even in your silence. And maybe the best part? The mystery keeps life interesting. After all, if people can't figure you out, let them wonder. Some will respect you for it. Others will make up stories. Either way, your peace stays intact and your power grows. Number 6, not everyone wants what's best for you. One of the hardest truths to accept is that not everyone clapping for you actually wants you to win. Some people are only clapping because they're waiting for you to trip on stage. The Stoics warned us about flattery. It's often a mask for hidden intentions. When you open yourself up to the wrong people, you give them insight into your weaknesses, your struggles, and your insecurities. And for those who secretly envy you, that information is gold. They'll smile in your face, but quietly hope you fail. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Likewise, the approval of people who don't want the best for you is worthless. If anything, it's dangerous. And let's be real, some people would rather see you stuck at the same level as them, binge-watching shows all weekend rather than chasing your dreams. Share your goals with them, and they'll tell you, be realistic. Share your setbacks, and they'll say, told you so. That's why you must be selective, because not everyone is rooting for you. Number 7, silence creates authority. Have you ever noticed that the quiet person in the room often holds the most respect? That's not an accident. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates authority. The Stoics knew that restraint in speech made a person appear wise, even before they spoke. When you're selective with what you share, people lean in closer. They wonder what's on your mind. They speculate. And ironically, the less you reveal, the more powerful you seem. It's the opposite of what the world tells you. Society says overshare to stay relevant, but Stoicism whispers say less to stay strong. The person who speaks all the time often dilutes their value. It's like adding too much water to good wine. It loses its taste. But the person who speaks rarely, with weight and clarity, becomes unforgettable. And here's the funny twist. Silence often gets people more obsessed with you than your words ever could. They'll start making theories about you like you're some Netflix mystery series. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there in peace, sipping water, minding your own business. Number 8, the trap of needing validation. Most people reveal too much of themselves because they're secretly fishing for validation. They want someone to say, I get you, or I support you. But the Stoics would warn against that, because needing validation makes you a slave to other people's approval. Epictetus reminded us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That means you don't owe anyone explanations about your choices, your struggles, or your goals. The right people will respect your path, even if they don't fully understand it. When you stop explaining yourself, something magical happens. You become free. Free from overthinking how people see you. Free from tailoring your story to get applause. And free from the exhausting cycle of trying to be understood by people who don't matter. And honestly, think about it. Most people can't even validate their own Netflix recommendations. One minute they're telling you, this show is the best thing ever. The next week they admit it was a waste of time. So why put the weight of your identity in their hands? Number 9, the strength of boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They don't block love, they block nonsense. The Stoics believed in self-discipline, and boundaries are simply discipline applied to relationships. They're how you protect the inner fortress of your mind. Without boundaries, your life becomes an open-door policy. Anyone can walk in, dump their baggage, and leave. And guess who's left to clean up the mess? You. But when you set boundaries, when you choose what you share and with whom, you send a clear message. My peace is not for sale. Seneca once said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Notice he didn't say associate with everyone. He understood that life is too short to spend with people who drain your spirit. Boundaries keep you aligned with your highest values. And sometimes, setting boundaries will make people call you cold, distant, or even selfish. But that's fine. They also call broccoli boring, and yet it still keeps you healthy. Boundaries may not please everyone, but they will protect you, and that's what matters. Number 10, freedom in being unknown. Here's the paradox. The less people know about you, the freer you are. When you don't broadcast your every thought, you're no longer trapped by other people's opinions of you. You can change, grow, and evolve without anyone boxing you into an old version of yourself. The Stoics valued freedom above all things, not just political freedom, but inner freedom. And inner freedom comes when your sense of self is not tied to external validation. By keeping parts of yourself hidden, you create room to move, to experiment, and to become. When you reveal too much, you invite judgment. People start saying things like, but that's not who you are, or I thought you said you believe this. Suddenly, you feel trapped in their expectations. But when you remain selective, no one can lock you in a box. And the humor in all this? People act like they deserve to know everything about you, when half the time, they can't even remember your birthday without Facebook reminding them. If they can't remember the basics, why should they be trusted with the depths? So remember this, not everyone deserves the real you. Your soul is sacred. Your mind is a fortress. Protect it the way a Stoic would, through silence, selectivity, and strength. The less people know, the more they respect. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And if someone's been trying to break into your peace lately, maybe it's time to change the locks.